Well, everyone, we're finally here. We're doing the episode that's taken way too longer than it needed to be. But all of us are together. We're in a call finally. Me, Swifty, AJ, and Alter. We're back together again to talk about the most anticipated topic that we've been talking about for years now, ever since the very start of the podcast. And that is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. We're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
What a film.
We're talking about Morbius.
Cinema.
Yeah, Morbius.
Wait.
The cinema.
Morbius made $1 trillion at the box office.
Can you believe 1 trillion? It's incredible. Like the masterpiece. It's a sleeper hit.
In a day, it
sleeper hit.
made $1 trillion like opening night.
Isn't that crazy?
And whoever thought, right?
Jared Leto's performance was like Heath Ledger genius.
I always knew it was going to make it. You know, Morbius is just the most iconic character in all of fiction.
Well, he's a Marvel legend, and he does Pilates.
More people know who Morbius is than Jesus Christ.
It's true. Un nomines Patris Sanctu, Heavenly Father. In the
No,
name
wait,
of
I
Morbius.
forgot. We're talking about the other bat-themed character that came out.
Oh, yeah. Wait, what other one?
Dracula Untold.
Who's that again?
Batman versus Dracula? That was like 15 years ago, bro.
Dracula Untold, underrated movie.
Dracula Untold. No, we're talking about the Batman, the Matt Reeves movie that came out at the very beginning of March. Finally.
Yeah.
Jesus. Literally, we've been talking about this since the very start of the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about it in the very first episode when that teaser came out, and
that incredible unmatched teaser.
Waiting and
Cinema.
waiting.
And when that light hits the sky, it's not just a signal. It's a 10% off discount to NordVPN. Link in the description. Your code of vengeance at checkout.
Yeah. We've been waiting for the day for it to finally come out, and it's actually here.
So I can watch it a second time.
We've all seen
And
it in
it's here on
theaters.
HBO Max.
Yeah, it's now on HBO Max. We've waited so long to the point where it's actually on streaming services now.
Yeah, it's just.
Which I don't know if that's because we waited so long or they really just dumped it out early.
I think it's a bit of both. I think like we pushed it as far as we could, but also they were like,
that's a long time to wait, but at the same time, just a month is.
Yeah. So before we get into our kind of general thoughts about the movie, I have to ask, how many times have you guys seen this movie, particularly in theaters?
I'll go
15
first.
times in one day, not even.
Oh wow, I saw Morbius 20, but it's just me. I've seen this movie 5 times in theaters.
Well, Morbius is a better movie.
3 times in IMAX, I think. Once in 4DX and once in standard. The 4DX was an accident. That's a whole story for another day.
You were actually just on set of Batman.
Yeah, I was there when
That's
they had
5D.
sex on the Batmobile too. 5.
I was the one they were having sex with. I was the Catwoman double. It wasn't Zoe Kravitz. It was me.
What about you, AJ? How many times?
5.
5 times.
You know, I swear I'm gonna make it more at some point, but
Yeah.
5 for now.
Okay, I'm gonna
And
be
that's just
actually
movie
100% honest
theaters.
with you guys. I've seen it 4 times. I saw it opening night, and then once it hit HBO Max, I've seen it 3 times.
Yeah.
I've only seen it once on HBO Max so far.
I was
I've
literally watching
seen
it
it.
this morning.
I've
I've
seen
seen
it
like
3 times.
but after it did come out on theaters, I have rewatched specific clips of it. So
Yeah, I've seen it 3 times. The first one being the Thursday night preview. The other 2 were just kind of random nights. And I watched it a couple weeks ago in a theater. It was like a 9:00 showing. I was going to go with some friends, but they bailed out because they're losers. So I just went to the movie, and yeah, it was great.
I think they should be ashamed of themselves. We should
I
put
think
them
they
on
should kill
blast
themselves.
on the Speaking Nerd podcast.
All right, so let's get into our general thoughts about the movie. We're going to get into spoilers.
greatest film ever made.
here.
There's no complaints.
Oh, wow. Damn.
You think I'm exaggerating? No, this is the one time I'm not.
You know what? I know you're not joking because I've literally been talking to you since the movie came out, and every other time, like every other part of the conversation is you just saying that. So I know you're not lying.
I'm
AJ,
having
your
technical
thoughts?
difficulties. This is my bad.
Yeah.
Okay, how am I supposed to put into words this movie? It's amazing. Just amazing. It was a really surreal experience for me watching it for the first time on a Friday, the Friday of the premiere or whatever.
Mhm.
It's everything I've ever wanted in a Batman movie. Everything I've ever wanted in a superhero movie. Just it's a movie I could not stop looking at, and I didn't even want to look at my phone or go to the bathroom during it, because this is the movie that my 5-year-old self has been waiting for.
Wow.
That's the best way I could describe it.
Yeah, you definitely put it into words indeed. Swifty, what about you? General thoughts on the Batman?
I loved it. I think it's a fantastic movie. More importantly, I think it's a fantastic Batman movie, and that's the most important part. And there's some things I didn't like about the movie, but I'm sure as we go through the spoilers, I'll go over those things. But overall, I love the movie, and there's not too much that's wrong with it in my eyes. Just what a way to finally give us a Batman movie. So thank you, Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson and the whole cast.
Yeah.
And I just want to add, the cinematography is possibly in my top 5 greatest looking films of all time. The way that movie is shot is masterful. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Greg
Yeah.
Fraser is just a genius.
That's the cinematographer.
Yeah, the cinematographer. It's the
Okay.
same guy who did Dune.
Yeah.
He's just so good.
Yeah, it was really good. So as far as my thoughts, I mean, I can't really say much else that they haven't said, but yeah, it is such an incredible movie. Such an achievement of a film. It is one of the best movies, not only superhero movies, but also just movies in recent memory that I've seen. And every time I watch it, it just amazes me, from the cast, crew, the effects, the action, the score, just about everything just boggles my mind on how amazing it actually is. I mean, there are a couple things that bother me, but those are just kind of more small gripes than anything. And we're going to talk about things we don't like later on in the video, but yeah, still an achievement, and I'm so excited to see where this world goes and these cast of characters and all that. So speaking of cast, I figured we should talk about them first, just kind of go through them in a particular order, or whatever the case. But anyway, for the cast, I figured we should just start off with the man himself, Robert Pattinson, the Batman, Bruce Wayne.
That's my dad.
It's an interesting take, but also such an amazing take on the character. But do you guys think that he's just what you expected? Did you expect less of him, more of him? Did he
I'll
Yeah.
kick things off here. I think Robert Pattinson was everything I expected and maybe a little bit more. I never doubted Robert Pattinson. I don't like doubting actors anymore, just because when I was younger, I always fell into that trope of like whoever's cast, it's like if it's a weird one, I'm just gonna doubt it because it's a weird one. But Rob, I never doubted, and I gave him the benefit of the doubt, and I was right, and I'm glad I was, because his take on the character is, I think, the truest to who Bruce Wayne and Batman is as a character. The dual personality thing was perfect for that movie. And people complaining about, well, we didn't get Bruce Wayne. Well, good. I'm glad we didn't, because it wouldn't have fit this movie, and that's not what they're going for. They're going to build up to that slowly, and we'll probably get a glimpse at it in the second movie. But this is just setting up the whole idea that he doesn't know who he is yet. And I think that his take on the character, his commitment and his sincerity to the character was just really great. And I'm so glad that we finally have a Batman that's reading the comic books. He's actually reading the comics. He understands Batman. Like, I'm so glad.
That isn't The Dark Knight Returns, by the way.
Right. Exactly. I haven't heard anybody say Dark Knight Returns, at least within that circle of people working on the film, that it was an influence at all. Clearly,
I'm
Year One and
so
Ego
glad.
and stuff like that. But no, go ahead.
I was just saying I'm eternally grateful that Dark Knight Returns is not inspiration again.
Me too.
Because, well, as much as I enjoy that story, it's a good story. I just want as little Frank Miller impact on my Batman stories as possible.
But yeah, Robert
Just
as
throwing it out there, the
Batman,
animated movie's better than the comic.
agreed.
It is.
But yeah, Robert is my favorite interpretation of Batman Bruce Wayne. I think it's the truest to the comics. He just did a phenomenal job, and he cared for that character in one movie more than any of the other actors did in any of their films, I think.
So true.
He just stuck true to who that character is. And that's, as a Batman fan, I think that's what we all want out of whoever's playing Batman.
Yeah, and he's really the only one who's ever felt like the comic book character to me.
Yeah. So that's my take. He's phenomenal. I wouldn't have wanted anybody else.
Yeah, I do agree. Like, because he covered both Bruce Wayne and Batman really well. And for the people who were saying oh, we didn't really get Bruce Wayne, my counterpoint to that is that we didn't get Playboy Bruce Wayne. We didn't get philanthropist Bruce Wayne,
Right?
Because he hasn't really developed that yet. We're just kind of starting to see that come about, or the inkling of that at the end of the movie. So
Also,
yeah.
I'm fine with that because
Me too.
I am too.
because Christian Bale did a lot of Playboy Bruce Wayne. Ben Affleck did some too, and I'm okay with one movie without it.
Yeah, but even so, I think that Rob and Matt's take on Bruce Wayne in this movie is actually truer than the Playboy version, because the Playboy version is just his mask, and this gives us a glimpse into what Bruce Wayne actually is like as Bruce Wayne himself.
It was more
without
of
the cameras and the women. Yeah, it was him before the women and the cameras and the luxurious lifestyle.
And a Bruce Wayne who can't deal with being Bruce Wayne.
Right. And this is the truest Bruce Wayne that we've had. Now, true in the sense of character-wise. I mean, and like I said, we'll get into the mask of who Bruce Wayne is in the next movie, I'm sure. But this is a glimpse at what Bruce Wayne actually is. And it's just, I think Rob, it's great when he takes off the suit in that movie. It's almost like every time we see Bruce Wayne, looking at him is looking at his inner pain. Like every time I looked at him.
And in every scene he's in, he's like replaying the death of his parents without us having to see it.
Yeah.
But,
I think
at least
Rob's
that's what I got from it.
Yeah, and his devotion to the emotion when he played Bruce was seriously, it was like impeccable. I can't stop watching him as Bruce.
Yeah. Just amazing.
Yeah,
it surprised me how much of, because not only is he great out of costume, but he's also amazing in costume. He fills all those kind of avenues well. it was shocking to me after I left the theater, realizing how much he's actually in the costume compared to out of the costume. Like, because the other movies, he's more Bruce Wayne than he is Batman. Like when we get Batman, it's more just kind of small burst type thing. Rarely in comic book movies do they have like your main actor kind of envelop themselves in the costume for a majority of the movie. Rarely do you see him out of the costume. And I do appreciate that, where he's just like, he's so committed to the point where like his character, he feels like when you see him as Bruce Wayne, you're like, just on his own, he feels like almost powerless. And then when he puts the suit on, he just, that's who he really is. And
Right.
that's just another part
like-
of him, like, as the actor, Robert Pattinson, really understanding Batman and, taking advantage of all that.
Yeah, showing like that Batman is like where he is truly himself, and also showing how obsessive he is in regards to the mission,
Yeah.
which is such a huge part of the character that I think some interpretations gonna miss. Like, I'm not comparing whatsoever to. I don't want to compare the Dark Knight trilogy to the Batman, because they're both amazing.
Yeah, and they're
Like,
both different.
The Dark Knight is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. But this is more about The Dark Knight Rises. Just the fact that he like quit doesn't necessarily work for me, and I just like to see the like obsessive part of Batman, that as much as it's a noble mission, it's also somewhat selfish.
Yeah. And just every scene, like, he just nails it perfectly. And literally there's no complaint from me about his performance. Like, every time he's on screen, he can be terrifying, but he can also be sincere and, hopeful. He's like I said, he covers all those avenues. And like, one of my favorite parts of the film, and I'm sure you guys can agree with me, is that final monologue with him carrying the, on top of the stadium, him helping out, and just talking about how
that was like one of my favorite movie moments.
Yeah,
That's the biggest for me in the movie. That's the biggest tearjerker moment for me.
Same.
And like, I think what makes it even more pleasing as a Batman fan is the score. That scene is just everything in that whole scene is perfect. And again, the
that
criticism
scene really
of
gets
Batman. Yes, and I was just about to bring that up, is the criticism for the movie doesn't make sense, again, because he's not a developed Batman yet. And finally he realizes what he has to be, which is, he can be vengeance, but he also has to be hope. He has to be both of those things. Because again, with just vengeance, he'll inspire the criminals he fights.
And
but with
also,
hope,
he'll
make them run.
heal the scars.
Right. But with hope, there's hope for a better tomorrow, a better Gotham, what have you.
Yeah.
So that scene is just, oh God.
That's what gets me about a lot of the people who don't like the Batman. Like, there have been a lot of people who are saying, "Oh, the Batman isn't hope. Batman has never been about hope," or whatever. And I'm like, do you not read the comics? Do you not watch any of the shows or play any of the games? That's what Batman is all about.
Yeah.
Because if you only view Batman as like vengeance, that's a very surface level view of the character, and that's why I appreciate that Matt Reeves really gets that.
Yeah, absolutely. Alter, do you have any little bits to chime in here?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Everyone else just kind of said what I was planning on saying. I had like notes pulled up and everything, and then they discussed it. I was like, well, fuck me, I guess. You know.
Well,
Um,
I'll tell you what.
but,
For the next thing you ask, I want Alter to talk like before me,
sure.
so he can get everything that he wants to say.
Yeah.
All right, but I will say though that because I haven't spoken since everyone else started talking, so I will say that this movie somehow had more hope than a Superman movie. So throwing shots at Zack Snyder in
It
this
did.
episode.
It did. It so did. I so agree with you. It did. My God, you're right.
Matt Reeves for Man of Steel 2.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
Anyways, Robert Pattinson, fun fact, is my favorite actor of all time. So when he was first announced to be Batman, that was made me happy, made me smile.
Well, I'm curious. He's your favorite actor of all time. What is it that made him your favorite actor before the Batman came out?
Twilight.
What was like
Good time.
good? Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, a lot of people have said good time.
Twilight Breaking
Good
Dawn.
time. Cosmo. That's a great movie, but The Lighthouse. Well, The Lighthouse is really what cemented it, to be honest.
I
He wasn't my
Lighthouse
favorite actor when
is
he first got
cinema.
casted, but The Lighthouse is what really cemented him as my favorite actor of all time. But I knew he would
Yeah.
kill Batman based off of one, Good Time, because he's just a phenomenal actor in that, and two was actually a movie he did called Cosmopolis, which
Okay.
he played a billionaire philanthropist in that movie.
Ah,
So that really cemented him as Bruce Wayne in my eyes.
yeah. Yeah, when I saw Tenet and when I saw The Lighthouse, those were the two movies that really like sold me on what Robert Pattinson can do as an actor. I hate those tropes of like, oh well, he did this movie, so this means that he's always going to be like this. So someone I work
Bro,
with
they do
said
that for every
I-
actor though, like Tom
Right.
Holland, Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, just
And
don't limit an actor by a role they did in the past.
Yeah, I mean Tobey Maguire. Have you seen freaking Brothers? One of my favorite movies of all time. But
We're just
no,
gonna
I was
forget
gonna
about The
say-
Great
so-
Gatsby, one of the greatest
Yeah.
films of all time.
But one of my coworkers, I said, "Did you see the new Batman?" And they said, "No, I didn't even know there was one." And I said, "Well, it's Robert. Who's Batman?" And I said, "It's Robert Pattinson." And they went, "Ew, Twilight." And I said, "It's not just that. Like, you gotta see it from
That's-
another perspective." Than
That's
it was
what
just
people
Twilight.
kept saying to me, and I was like, dude, Robert Pattinson is
That's
so
what- that's
much
what-
more than Twilight.
How about Robert Pattinson?
Okay, this
is
is what-
Tenet. He is the Lighthouse. He's,
Yeah, like
he's good time. Like,
Tenet was so good, and he was so good in that. That's why I'm excited to see more of the business kind of Bruce Wayne, because like the way Robert Pattinson looked in Tenet, that's Bruce Wayne.
So one thing I was going to say right before that happened.
I gotta sneeze so bad.
One thing I was going to say is that, just ignore that. Is that with Robert, like, not only do I like that his Bruce Wayne is not quite developed yet, but I also like the fact that even when he's Batman, he's not perfect. Like, he still fucks up occasionally. Like when he's doing the like the wingsuit scene and he crashes, like
Yeah, and he just like destroys himself.
yeah. And even when he's talking to Riddler at the end, and Riddler's like, it's all there. You didn't find it? He's just sitting there. He's like,
You're
oh,
not as
shit.
smart as I expected.
Yeah.
That was really interesting to me. I mean, kind of hilarious, but also just really interesting to me
Mm-hmm.
that it's really challenging Batman as the world's greatest detective when he's not the world's greatest detective.
I also like that, like, in contrast to like the other Batman movies where like he does everything like, perfect on like first try type stuff. Like Christian Bale can, every scenario he's in, he's gonna, for the most
He's
part,
the master planner.
come out on top. But like,
And then
the fact
Michael
that-
Keaton is just like an animal.
Michael Keaton's amazing. I'm so happy to see him again as Batman. But anyway,
Me too.
but yeah, I did really like that where like even when he's in costume, he's gonna fuck up, and like even if it's like a small thing or something really major, like there are repercussions to that. So, and I will say, yeah, that wingsuit scene is a perfect example of that kind of thing.
I just like to see a Batman who's trying to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's one of the things like about Batman as a character that I don't hate necessarily, but it bugs me with more kind of modern adaptations where like everything he does, you know,
It's
is
perfect.
gold. Like, it's perfect. And, you know, when anybody else tries, they're just going to fuck up super hard, but not Batman. But
I think Batman should always be, well, he's supposed to be the most human of the superheroes, so he should make mistakes a lot.
mhm.
Like that's why I really like.
It is kind of
I
funny
know there's
whenever
some people
Batman
who
is
don't
just really
like
OP.
it.
That is
but
true.
I know there's some people who don't like it, but I really love Batman Hush, and one of the reasons I really love it is because he's struggling
The
to
movie or
figure
the
out who
comic?
this guy is. The comic, the movie sucks.
I was
The
making
movie is
sure
absolute
there.
garbage, and whoever worked on the movie should be ashamed of themselves. There are some opinions that are subjective, and my opinion about Batman Hush is factual. I will not talk further on the subject.
Yeah.
You are the Batman's the perfect adaptation, though.
Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do a whole retrospective on the DeCamo universe.
It's gonna anger a lot
I'd be
of people.
down. I've seen every single one of them.
I know you would be, yeah. But
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
do we have
but
any last thoughts to talk about Robert Pattinson before we move on?
He's amazing. Just
He's my
That's it.
dad.
He's your dad. God damn. Swifty, any other
So
things you want to
child
throw out there?
support money.
No.
No? Okay. All right. Well then let's talk about Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman. And I'm gonna give
The thoughts on her getting canceled. Should we mention it or should we just move on?
you know what? No, I don't.
Let's
wanna
move
bother
on.
it. Why don't you take the floor, Alter,
all right.
and talk about what you think of Zoe Kravitz?
why would you do that?
I was meant to laugh and I just coughed up my lungs. Oh my god. Well, I'm dying of cancer. So, I'll get here eventually. So Zoe Kravitz, I think her take on Selena Kyle is definitely the most comic book accurate we've got, but that's not really. There's not really much competition there. You know, the only other three, or I guess four, that we've had. One was an Adam West show, so it doesn't count. One was a Tim Burton movie, so it doesn't count. One was terrible, so it doesn't count. So this one. So this one's actually the first one that actually nailed it. However, I'm not a big fan of her costume, and it's not really just the costume; it's just the mask. I guess it is more realistic, but there's nothing she really does besides owning a bunch of cats that labels her as Catwoman. You know, like she doesn't have like a mask that or anything that resembles a cat, and the mask looks weird.
Well, I mean, technically, her
Besides
mask
that, like
does
she's
have cat
written
ears.
really well. No, it doesn't. Shut up. Those are stitches.
Yes, it does. It has cat ears.
Those are not ears, dog.
Those are ears.
Whatever. Shut up. I don't see them as ears. But we're all entitled to our own opinion, I guess.
But anyway, back to your wife, Zoe Kravitz.
Oh yeah, back to my wife, who I'm cheating on with my husband, who is Paul Dano. Yeah, she is probably the best live action Catwoman we've got. As I say, probably she is definitely. There are some things that she's probably like the only character in this film that I have critique, like I can critique, because a lot of her relationships with, like, her main relationship with Batman isn't really explored that much. It's sort of just like they met, Batman uses her, and then the movie goes on as it normally does, and then halfway through it's like, oh, they meet up again. Ooh, they're in love. Ooh. It doesn't really make sense. Their relationship kind of comes out of nowhere, which is basically my main complaint with the film, actually, is that whole Batman Catwoman relationship. Like, I feel like there was a big deleted scene in the middle of the film that got cut out. But I think overall her character is written really well and is written very accurate to the source material. But her placement in the film, I guess, is weird, and her mask looks weird, and that's basically, that's it. Zoe Kravitz, I will tell you, I am single. My DMs are open. My Instagram is @AltaBrap. If you are watching this, please slide in like you slid down that roof. And let us pray a prayer. Dear Lord, please tell me Zoe Kravitz watches this episode of the Speaking Nerd podcast. Amen.
Maybe you two will fuck on top of the Batmobile.
On top of her. Yeah. Batman doesn't fuck, but I do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
This Batman gets no bitches.
AJ,
Anyways, anyone want to continue where I just
I was
left
just
off?
going to say, AJ, thoughts on Zoe Kravitz?
Thoughts on Zoe Kravitz or thoughts on Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman?
Both.
Let's say both, yeah.
Zoe Kravitz is amazing,
Pass.
of course. I will neither confirm or deny any answer to that question. But
You will either, it's
her
one or the other.
Catwoman
There's no
is-
dodging it.
I dodge. Basically,
This will
the best
continue in
Catwoman ever.
DMs then.
There's no competition. There's no competition. And I think the writing with her character was just superb, and I feel like it's the first time, as much as I love Batman Returns, I feel like it's the first time that she's really been given, I guess, top billing in a Batman story, in live action, because the past few adaptions of her character felt kind of lackluster in certain ways. Anne Hathaway, Dark Knight Rises. And generally, I think she was one of my favorite parts of the movie, and she was just incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Swifty, your thoughts on Zoe Kravitz, both as Zoe Kravitz and as her performance in the movie?
Well, because I'm professional and because I'm a good person, I'm just going to comment on her in the movie. I think she was phenomenal Catwoman. I really think she played the role really well, at kind of like the self-discovery thing she was trying to do in the movie. Like she explained, it's really a discovery of who her character is and kind of becoming Catwoman. It sort of parallels Batman's story, I think. And I think it complements nicely because they're kind of growing in this world together. So I appreciated that. I agree with you guys that the relationship was kind of shoehorned in a weird way. It felt like they kind of just did it because like that's what's supposed to happen. Like they're supposed to fall in love or whatever. But it was really fast, and like They kissed on the second date. I mean, damn, bro. Batman's really
Man,
going
scoring,
right now.
dog.
Yeah.
What does he have that I don't? It should have been me, not him. Me. It's not
But yeah,
fair.
that's really it. I mean, I thought she was great. She really acted well. One of the highlights of the movie for me definitely was her performance. So yeah, I really enjoyed her.
Mhm.
And her chemistry with Rob was great.
Absolutely. Like, it's, to me, that's one of the best parts of them together. Like, and like just the cast overall is that chemistry. Yes, that was that whole, love story type shit. Like, it did feel really like out of place, especially that way, that part in the movie. Where it's just like, hey, you used me. Okay, let's meet up on a rooftop and make out. Okay, whatever. And then after that, it's just like,
Story of my life
whatever.
right there.
But
That's me on screen, fellas.
yeah, she did a great job. I would also say I don't really see her as Catwoman in this movie. Like, it's kind of like the Bruce Wayne Batman thing, where it's just like it's an evolution type thing. Like, we're gonna see her become Catwoman eventually, but like, this
I
is
think
like a
the thing
very early stage of that.
I think the thing I appreciated most about her character was that she wasn't just a villain. They really captured that kind of almost anti-hero type Catwoman.
Let's be real here.
that-
Catwoman hasn't been a villain since the 60s.
Okay, let me finish my sentence. Just shut up, Walter.
No.
I don't want to hear your voice. Basically, just I really appreciated that they captured that kind of almost duality that Catwoman's always had, especially in BTAS. And she played that extremely well.
Yeah. I'm just happy because at no point in this movie she's not revived by magic cats.
Yeah, she did not fall out a window and get licked by a bunch of cats.
So 0 out of 10
and
is
come
the
back
worst
to life.
adaptation.
Could you imagine when Rob is like, he's got the binoculars on and he's looking at her through the apartment? She just falls out of her own window.
You know, I
She's
think
fine.
I think that really
When she
missing.
says she has 9 lives, what if she jumps off the building?
I think we're really missing the cut where, like, you know, Riddler just like pushes her out the window and then she gets revived by a bunch of cats. I think we're just missing that.
We're missing
you
the
know,
cut
that
where Joel Schumacher actually directed
that
the film.
essential. We're just missing that essential element of the movie. You know, that would just bring it all together. You know, magic cats.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer knew.
She was better than Lego Batman.
But honestly, for me, there's not really much else to say about Zoe Kravitz. Like, she did an amazing job, but like, there's just not much like to say other than that. Like, it's just
There's not much untouched, you know, like broken ground
that's true.
to say about how incredible she was in this movie.
Yeah. But let's talk about the best performance in the movie. Penguin.
That was Robert Pattinson, but all right.
No, it's Penguin.
Marvel is just
This was
like
not how this was supposed to go.
Marvel's got some secret feelings for Colin Farrell revealed.
It's not
Man, he could do
really that. It's
without the
just
makeup.
like,
Mind.
to me, I don't even see it as Colin Farrell playing the Penguin. I just see Penguin.
It's the Penguin.
Like, that's how
Yeah.
good it actually is.
I think that was the great thing about the entire movie is that none of these actors feel like actors. I know that's like it's not something people say a lot, and it's kind of a, you know, oh, they're supposed to be characters, so they're characters. But it's extremely true about this movie
Mhm.
that they play their parts so well that you forget this is a movie.
Yeah.
The movie's just peak fiction.
Yeah, true. But yeah, Colin Farrell, he did a good job. I know some people were like, "Oh, he's too silly and whatnot." It's like, but I mean, that's the entire point. Like,
He's
it's
the
and
penguin.
yeah,
The penguin is
His
funny.
name is the penguin.
He waddles.
literally waddles. Yeah,
My parents dumped me in the ocean.
but yeah. To me, it worked in the movie's benefit, where it's just like, you got all this dark, serious stuff going around. So it was kind of nice to have like a little bit of ridiculousness thrown in there.
And he was doing a wonderful Rob De Niro impression, you know? Just perfect Robert De Niro impression, you know? Whether intentional or not, it was there. And I was there for
And
it.
I'm so glad the only penguin we don't just have Danny DeVito as the penguin now. We actually have someone who doesn't bite noses.
We have one that's not like an absolute freak.
That
We have
know
one
of.
that's not directed by Tim Burton.
I mean, we don't know that Penguin show. Like, he might be a real freak in that, but we'll have to see if that ever
Yeah,
happens.
he's just gonna bite a bunch of
there's no
noses
telling what he does
off.
to those girls, man.
Yeah.
You know, that's what happened to Maroney. Penguin just bit his nose off.
Yeah. Yeah. No wonder he didn't show up.
That's what he should instead of pulling a gun on Falcone, you damn rat, and just bites his nose.
That would have been amazing.
Swifty, thoughts on Penguin? Colin Farrell.
I freaking love Colin Farrell as Penguin. I
comes.
actually he was one of my favorite parts about the whole movie. I thought he was great. He was literally exactly how Penguin's supposed to be. He's
It's
a gangster who's like under Carmine Falcone. And no, it's not Falcone, you idiots. It's like the Ra's al Ghul thing. It's not
Yeah.
Falcone, it's
Why did
Falcone.
people just
Everyone
don't know
pronounced
how
this
to
Falcone
pronounce it.
Jeffrey Wright.
Bro, oh god. But yeah, I love Colin Farrell as Penguin. Screw the haters. I don't have time, but ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah.
It's excellent.
Yeah. All right, now let's talk about the actual best performance in the movie.
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, Robert Pattinson playing Paul Dano as the Riddler.
Robert Pattinson playing the Riddler and Paul Dano playing Batman.
Yeah.
Sounds like an SNL skit.
Could you? I'm sure there's like some alternate reality out there where that exists, and I want to see that.
I want to see Michael Cera play Batman. Man, like, I'm just vengeance, man.
But
Michael
Paul
Cera's the
Dano.
Batman.
Paul Dano was amazing. Like one of the best villains in a Batman movie.
He's not top. He's not above Heath Ledger, but
No,
he's
no,
like right below.
nothing will
Like,
nothing
I
will
mean,
ever top Ledger.
I mean, no one. It's
I think
just
this movie beats The
impossible.
Dark Knight, but it definitely doesn't beat. It definitely doesn't
No.
beat Heath Ledger's performance.
yeah, no,
None of these performances beat Heath Ledger's performance, but this is definitely overall a better movie, and definitely is my new favorite movie.
like I would say Paul Dano, he's like top 5 for sure. But for me personally, I don't know if it's like second place worth. Like I don't know. It's I'll have to watch the movie again. Like
Yeah, like he's amazing, but there's no one who can match Heath for me.
I mean, to be fair, he is the only Batman villain who won.
to an extent, yeah.
Debatable on Heath Ledger, but
I mean, I mean, Joker, you can make an argument for that too, but
There's always Thanos.
as far as Paul,
overall,
But I did really like Paul Dano throughout the majority of the movie. By the end, like
he was brilliant.
Like him like crying in the cell and yelling at Batman, who's basically telling him he's nobody and shit. It was just like,
this wasn't how it was supposed to go. I mean, he was having a fit.
For me, I was like, I could have gone without
That's
that.
why you
but it was
relate to
like,
him a bunch, AJ.
What?
I
What,
said,
Alter?
He plays a mentally deranged man really well, which is why you relate to him a bunch, AJ.
That's why you relate to him.
He looks just like me, bro.
Yeah. I mean, Alter was probably watching movies like, man, just like me.
It's me.
Yo, he just like me for real. I saw the movie and I was like, yo, that's me.
That's me.
It's like that Leonardo DiCaprio gif.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah, but that moment where it's him talking to Batman, the only reason it bugged me a little bit was because it kind of diminished some of that, that dread he had through most of the movie. Because most of the movie he's actually kind of terrifying, and then at the end, it's that, and then him on the video just being like, hey guys, thanks for all the comments and shit, like.
Again, just like me for real.
Yeah, so true. But does anyone else have any thoughts for Paul Dano?
No, just an incredible performance.
Yeah.
I
AJ?
thought it was really interesting that they took inspiration from the Zodiac Killer. That was
really cool. Kind of.
It was really interesting. It's like, I don't know, I find it really interesting when they base comic book villains and characters off of real life.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could really feel the Zodiac vibes, especially from someone who's watched the movie way too many times.
I'm gonna be honest, the Zodiac movie is kind of like, it's not that good after you know the twists.
What do you mean? What do you mean the twist, Alter? It's real life. There are no twists.
I mean, for people who didn't live in the 60s, like you.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Thank you, Josh.
The only man who'll stand up for you.
Shut up before I Ave Maria your ass.
As far as other characters concerned, like
Ezra Miller,
like Gordon and Alfred and even Falcone, like I thought they were all terrific. Good, but there's not much more to say besides that. If anything, like I really liked Batman.
Falcone was peak mobster.
Wait, what did you say, Marvel?
I was just going to say that I did really like the relationship between Batman and Gordon, and I did really like Falcone just as a character, and him as a villain. But like, there's not.
I really
appreciated besides that.
I really appreciated that Gordon calls Batman man.
Yeah,
I just wanted to say that because no Gordon Batman relationship has ever felt like friends until we have Gordon just calling him man. It's a really small detail, but I loved it.
I agree. I actually really liked Carmine Falcone a lot, and I love John Turturro as Carmine Falcone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, also I have to add that so I've never seen John Turturro in anything else before.
Really?
And when I saw him in this, there was one thing that stood out to me. And it's the weirdest thing.
He looks like Adam Sandler.
No, he sounds like Adam Sandler to me. He sounds like Adam Sandler.
I mean, he's been in some of his movies, so.
Yeah.
It's just it's his voice that reminded me of Adam Sandler, which
Think
didn't
you're a tough guy.
it
What are
didn't
you,
take me out of the
Zoe?
movie, but I was like, oh man, this guy sounds like Adam Sandler.
Yeah. John Turturro is a really good actor. He's, he can be funny, but he can also be really serious and stuff, which is like I got excited when they were like, oh, he's gonna play like Carmine Falcone. I'm like, okay, awesome. But the only thing that did really bug me was that they killed him off like at the end. I would have liked
understand.
to
way too
stick
fast.
around. Yeah.
I understand though, since they probably don't want to continue the mob stuff.
Yeah, but I love the mob stuff personally. For Batman,
I do love the mob stuff, and I love Falcone, and I wish he could have gone on longer, but I also want more of the fantastical Batman.
Yeah.
Which I doubt we'll get, unfortunately.
But I mean, like, the only reason I say that is that, like, say they do this Penguin show, like, he could have been a really interesting foil for Penguin, like, just
True.
Given that kind of prior relationship they have. So the fact that I mean, Riddler, like, they kept up with the riddle, and they killed him under the light and stuff. But I just found it especially sad because like he was one of my personal favorites, and literally,
yeah, he was amazing.
Like gave him the scar for no reason, just to be like, okay, that's
Scar
this thing.
there.
Yeah.
Well, he had the scar before Selena did it. They just did it again for some weird reason.
Yeah.
They did a double scar. Matt Reeves, you idiot.
Did they
I'm
do
just
it?
kidding.
Did they do it? I didn't really
Wait,
notice.
Yeah.
did they?
He had it in the movie. I didn't notice until like my third viewing. I was like, I want to look at his face like closer to see if he actually has the scar, or like Catwoman just gave it to him. And he does have another scar.
You'll have to show me because I don't remember that whatsoever.
Yeah, it surprised me too. I was like, what the fuck is that thing? No, I'm just kidding.
You want to know how I got these scars?
Hold up.
Hey.
Hold up. Give me a second. Hold on. Why my camera on?
M&M Wi-Fi be like.
Hey yo. Look at the ghetto setup, dog. I got the Blue Yeti and the Dollar Tree headset.
I barely saw like what I was supposed to be looking at.
Shut up.
Another thing that I forgot to mention, just thinking about it now, is that I really like how they handled Alfred in this movie, but I was sad to see that he wasn't like that. They just kind of pushed him off to the side, and after the whole explosion, he's basically out of the movie.
Well, I'm glad
actually,
it was.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, I was bummed out that he wasn't in it a lot, but I was glad it wasn't for no reason.
I was actually one of my main problems with the movie is that Alfred is not in it enough. They had like no scenes together, really.
It was more in the first act.
Not even like, I mean, yes, he was in the first act, but like he was only in a few scenes, like 3 notable ones, and then that was it. And then it's like after the Batmobile chase scene, it's like he's not really seen again at all until the third act.
Mm-hmm.
And that was unfortunate because Andy Serkis played Alfred really good.
I was going to say they got
terrific-
Andy Serkis to
terrifically.
be Alfred, so you think they would have utilized him more than that.
Yeah.
But
And I mean, like the scene that really sticks out to me to show like how much I love his version is that when Bruce comes back from the mayor's apartment or house or whatever the hell it is, he is watching the eye contact thing on the screen when Bruce leaves after they get into the argument, and he looks at what Bruce saw, which was the little boy who just lost his father, and he puts his head down and starts
reaction
crying.
is amazing.
Yeah, and I was like, that's the heart of Alfred, is caring for
Yeah.
Bruce. And
Yeah.
And the
That
fact
was-
that
that
he
was a
doesn't
great
he
scene.
doesn't want Bruce to do this, but he knows that Bruce won't listen to him. So
but yeah, that was
kind
one of Matt's
begrudgingly he supports him.
major misdirections. I think was not utilizing Alfred enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping they use him a lot more in the sequel.
Hopefully.
Because there's no way you don't utilize Andy Serkis when you have him in your movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I hope the same thing too, because like Andy Serkis is an amazing actor, both for mocap and even just as a performer. Like,
Yeah, and especially since Matt Reeves has worked with Andy Serkis before with
Yeah.
the Apes movies. So I think there's really a lot of interesting things to do there with Alfred.
yeah.
Given
I did
that-
like
that
though that they took a
experience.
lot of inspiration for Alfred, particularly with like the Earth One comic, where you know he's
yeah,
walking around on a cane and all that shit, and
the more gruff Alfred.
yeah, I felt it was like a nice departure from like, you know, Michael Goff and, you know,
Mhm.
the Nolan verse Alfred, where it's just like, oh, they're the nice
The,
old
the
butlers.
sweet Alfred.
Yeah. All right.
Smash
So I
pass,
think-
Robert Pattinson, smash.
So I think we covered, you know, pretty much all we needed to say about the cast. So I figured we should just move on with the rest of the stuff. So I guess we'll talk about story first, because for me, I liked it. I really did. It was great and all, but I did feel like after multiple viewings, there was a lot of weird, like, stop and go type situations where one story would just stop completely and then move on to another. And like, kind of reminded me a lot of how I feel about Spider-Man 3, where it was just like, Harry shows up first as New Goblin, and then once that's taken care of, the Sandman shows up, and, you know, yada yada, rinse repeat throughout the whole movie. Like, there were parts of that in the Batman I did feel that very blatantly. I saw
feel
somebody on
like,
Twitter say this, where like it felt like a video game.
I
But-
feel like at least this is the way I think about it, because I'm at least more used to this type of story.
Mhm.
It's very well. It's obviously a noir Batman movie, and that is very much how a noir goes.
Hmm.
You know, it kind of goes from lead to lead, and storyline to storyline, and you know, it's a very wide web of like characters, which can be confusing, but I understand and enjoy that type of story. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, it did feel especially weird with, like, you know, they're doing the whole Riddler thing. And then once the news comes out about, you know, Thomas potentially being a criminal or doing criminal like activities and stuff, the whole Riddler plot just literally stops for like a certain amount of time, just to, you know, get the whole Thomas Wayne discussion out of the way. And
because Bruce big angry about
Yeah.
his parents being criminals.
yeah.
Plot twist: this Batman just turns into Flashpoint Batman. Would have been a hell of an ending. Just guns down Riddler.
Yeah. um but yeah, besides that, like, the plot for the most part, I would say, is really well done, really executed well. Like, I did like the whole, noir murder mystery type thing.
Mhm.
And I think it's very Batman, but also, in Riddler's part, it was like a very Riddler type plot also. So it just worked for
And
me.
it felt like this beautiful combination of like genres and different types of Batman stories, and like Riddler feels like a slasher villain, and Batman's going on this like noir, kind of mystery, and also there's a lot of old Hollywood elements. I think kind of feels very classic, I guess.
Yeah. But what about you guys? Is there like any certain plot lines you want to bring up, certain moments that you either really liked or disliked, or that kind of thing?
In my opinion, the entire thing was like damn near flawless, except for the Catwoman stuff. That's really where the story, that's where it kind of declines for me, at least a little bit, is that Catwoman just comes out of nowhere and has a relationship with Batman. I also feel like the Falcone being her father thing could have been explored a little bit more, because it sort of just is mentioned,
Yeah.
and then once they finally start diving into it, Falcone gets shot, and then they just move on. Plus, I feel like it would have been there could have been a good character moment where, right after Bruce thinks that Falcone killed his parents, he could have had a bonding moment with Selena.
Yeah.
So that was a missed opportunity, in my opinion. But there's really nothing I can say that's like bad about the plot. It's just stuff that I feel like it's just a missed opportunity.
Yeah. What about you, Swifty?
Well, to be honest, I'm not going to go full into like every detail of like what I don't like, but I will say, because someone who I really admire has already said everything, where a lot of what I agree with. And I know I spoke to you about this. I think I spoke to you about this, Marvel, but Irogen's video, I agree with a lot of the plot points that he says are not good in the movie, or at least don't work as well as they were kind of executed to be. So like, I think the stuff with Riddler is great, but then it kind of like cuts off and goes to something else right when we're getting invested. And then it goes back like randomly. And I think that a lot of the characters' times, like Alfred, was cut short, unfortunately. I think there was a lack of understanding where the story should head at a certain point, and then they cut to another part, and it's like, oh, well, okay, I guess this is the new direction. And then it cuts back to where you thought the other part ended, and it continues that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I agree with his point that it feels like maybe two different movies kind of trying to be in one, or rather, I think the more accurate description would be, it feels like one movie without the right placements. So that's how I see it. That's really the biggest issue with me. Is sometimes it feels disjointed and out of place with the way things are layered and put together.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my biggest issue with the movie.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
Also, I think the second biggest thing is that probably because they didn't invite us to do a cameo. So DC is a piece of shit. No wonder you're going in the gutter. You didn't invite.
I should have played Batman.
Yeah, I should have been Catwoman.
Marvel should have been the Penguin, and then boom, AJ's the Riddler, because I want to pound his face in.
I think you'd be the Riddler, buddy.
Either way, we're killing each other. It's just if I was the Riddler, I'd kill Batman. And if I was Batman, I'd kill the Riddler.
Yeah, shoot him in the head. Don't shoot him like in the fucking abdomen.
I'll go full Ben Affleck. I'll run you over with a Batmobile while shooting at you.
That's how you do it.
That's how you really. That's how a real man kills.
Yeah.
Do you bleed? You will, and he's already dead. It's just
Basically, just be. Do you bleed? Shoot him. You are.
do
Kryptonite
you
bullet,
bleed?
bitch.
You are.
All right. So let's talk about action next, because goddamn was that fucking phenomenal.
Flawless.
Yeah. And that is no more apparent than
Flawless.
in the very
Moving
beginning
on.
of the movie.
Next topic.
Perfect. That first scene is just like perfect build up.
Yeah.
This is the first Batman movie that actually like fully shows how Batman fights, like perfectly.
Yeah. Also, the fighting was good.
Yeah.
I love how much like weight and impact each punch has.
Yeah. The only thing I can compare it to is Daredevil.
You can compare it
It's
to
bas-
the Injustice
basically-
games.
It's basically Daredevil action, but like better.
It feels like it's from a fighting game.
Yeah.
It's also
not-
very similar to
It's
Arkham.
the most. That's what I was about to say. Is that it's the closest thing we're ever gonna get to Arkham combat into a film. Which I mean,
Yeah.
we did have the warehouse scene in BVS, but besides that,
But that kind of had blood, death.
yeah, that kind of had murder. But then
Yeah.
again, that's very much what the Arkham games are, because Batman does things that should kill people.
It's called heightened reality.
Even though the vitals say that, he is unconscious, we all know
Yeah,
that.
he's just unconscious.
Dead.
Unconscious, even though we hit him with a bullet coming at 100 miles an hour.
We
Hey,
literally
guys.
shoved his face into like an
Guys,
electric box.
Heightened reality. Heightened reality.
I literally threw a gas canister and it exploded in his face. I dropped a chandelier on his head.
Gosh.
Planted his whole body into a light fixture.
I hit him with 10 volts of electricity from a wreck gun. He did kill Bane and he brought him back to life.
Yeah, true. Do you guys have a
That's
favorite?
a little on the edge there, Batman.
Yeah. Do you guys have a favorite action scene in this movie? For me, it's the one at the very beginning, and then also like the fight at the very end inside the arena or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
It's
Mine
basically
is-
down. It's basically down to 3. Beginning
Yeah.
fight scene, Batmobile, like chase
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
and then the final scene, which I think encompasses like the flare, the fighting the Riddler goons, all that.
Okay, so I'm going to be the only one to say it, but I feel like the fight inside the Iceberg Lounge was the best
I
one.
was-
I just really
I
liked
was
the
just gonna say
stylized
that. That's
action.
my favorite one. That's my favorite
That's-
scene. My favorite action
That's
scene.
think-
amazing.
The only thing I want from it is I wish it was a little longer.
I agree. It was too short for me. I absolutely agree with you.
And that's why
Well, I think I said
that's
all the
why
fight scenes,
all of
though.
you should watch
Yeah.
Cold Dark Knight when it comes out. Because
Like
it
I'm
will have a
glad that this
longer-
was more like not
Iceberg
as
Plunge
much of
scene.
an action focused film, but I do feel like that fight scenes were cut short. The first one was paced perfectly, and the last one was paced
Yeah.
perfectly, but all the ones in the middle were kind of
Yeah.
The Batmobile scene was long enough, but it wasn't long enough like focusing on the Batmobile. You know what I mean? Like it was a lot of seeing
I love
Penguin.
that the Batmobile was like an animal, basically, though, like a demon or something.
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
paced really weird, but I still really enjoyed that
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, I thought the chase was perfectly fine, but whatever. This is more of a me thing. But
I'm not saying it's not. It's
no.
literal cinema. It's the
Yeah.
best thing that's ever happened.
Yeah. But
I'm
yeah, I
just
just
saying,
mean
I
though, it's like
prefer
I
the
never
club
really had a
scene better.
problem with how it was the
Yeah.
pacing of it or whatever. Like I think
I
it was just,
don't have any problem with it personally because it's amazing.
I'm just
It's
saying,
just me.
compared to the other better shot scenes in the film, that one got too much spotlight. But then again, that's all the Batmobile. Like, that's basically the only scene where the Batmobile shows up.
that's true. Yeah.
So I guess it would make sense that they made it longer. Now that I think about it, I'm retarded. My bad.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about just kind of the visual look of the movie and also effects while we're at it, because
Perfect. Moving
Yeah.
on.
yeah, I'm just surprised how little amount of CG they actually use. Like I found out the wingsuit was real when it
Yeah, it was
totally
real.
looked like
Yeah.
CG like thing. It was crazy. It was just,
Man,
The
But-
entire
movies
film
be
pretty
doing
much
the
used practical effects.
practical.
yeah. Yeah, and even like getting back to
It's
the car
very-
chase,
that-
like the explosion at the very, like none of
Mhm.
that is fake. That's all
Yeah, it's all real.
real.
I do, however,
He's a man.
like, I don't like making comparisons to Nolan with this film, but it did give me very much Batman Begins vibes with how little CGI they used.
Mm-hmm. I mean, remember when
Because that's what
Nolan blew up
Nolan
a
did with
plane
his
in
films.
Tenet?
Remember when Nolan flipped a truck in The Dark Knight in the middle of a Chicago highway?
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember when Nolan blew up a
Which, by the way, who
hospital?
films in Chicago? You might as well just filmed in Gotham. You would have get shot, robbed. That suit probably got stolen 5 times.
I think
Speaking
that's
of
the point.
speaking of which, can I just say that I love this Gotham City?
I'm so
The
glad
best
it's not
one I
Chicago.
think we've ever had. I mean, although the Burton
I
ones
thought
are
you
pretty
said
close.
speaking of Chicago.
This and the Burton ones are like neck and neck in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I love that it was a mix of like the stylized, surreal Burton and the realistic Nolan.
This feels
I think
like
it was like the perfect middle
it feels like a perfect mix of the Batman Begins Gotham and the Burton Gotham.
Yeah. You just said what I said. You thief. You thief.
But I have more subscribers than you, so I have the right.
To me, it's what the Dark Knight trilogy's Gotham should have been. Like just it's fantastical in nature, but it is also
Instead
somewhere
of
you can actually-
Chicago,
yeah, it's
which pretty much is Gotham, by the way. That place is just actually. Just because it's filled with crime does not mean it's going to look like Gotham.
yeah.
Which, I mean, BVS isn't much better. They filmed it in Detroit. So that's arguably worse.
I mean, they filmed The Dark Knight Rises in Pittsburgh.
Speaking of
Pittsburgh's not as bad as Detroit.
Speaking of designs, I really love the look of just every character. Like, I mean, Batman especially. Riddler was really awesome too, and Catwoman. You're right. I do agree that the mask was really weird. And just like a fucking.
I think her
ski
suit
mask.
itself looks fine, and I like how she looks as Selena. It's just the mask is off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that, but I also understand that it's the same thing with everything else. It's like it's building the world. And
Yeah, I
they're not-
understand that, but
Yeah.
also you got to understand that it's building the world.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh! Shut up!
Oh my
you
gosh! Shut
But
up!
you see,
You
here's the thing.
insufferable.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though. Shut up. Here's the thing, though. They should build it better.
Okay. They should
Thanks for coming to my tech talk. They should build it
I didn't
better.
even-
Thank you for
They
coming
should
to my
build
TED
what
talk.
better?
Build it better.
Your mom.
Build what?
Anyways, moving on.
Okay.
I'm the world better. Oh my god, did we
Oh,
not just have
okay,
a
I got you.
conversation?
Okay. Shut up, Kaden.
Jesus, I can't even make a joke.
Freaking mom yelling in your room vibes.
She
I'm
was
just kidding.
yelling, by the way.
Let's talk
like
about
earlier.
let's
Josh
talk about
freaking Eli yelling in your room vibes.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, audience, didn't you miss all
Missing a
four of us being
podcast for French
together?
class vibes.
Missing the podcast for
Fuck the
baseball
audience,
vibes.
Let's talk about the score, which is like one of my favorite Batman scores of all time.
It's
No, the
it's
score is
one of my
3-0
favorite,
right
like,
now. Oh, you mean the soundtrack?
It's
Yeah.
one of my favorite comic book movie scores. Period.
Yeah, like for me, it's this and 89 are like
Absolutely.
tied up for first place. Like it's
Also, like, this isn't live action, but it's theatrical. Phantasm is like neck and neck with the Batman for me.
Phantasm's amazing.
My favorite Batman composer is Christopher Drake. So I don't think
Yeah.
anything's gonna top his work. I don't think anything will top Christopher
Shirley
Drake's work.
Walker for me.
However, I do feel that this is a great score. It fits the atmosphere perfectly.
Absolutely.
It's not something I would like listen to,
Giacchino
but
is-
it definitely fits the film.
He's my man.
Yeah.
It's your boyfriend? Gay?
You have a problem with that, Alter?
I'm homophobic.
So I had a thing here on my notes, which
So
was
cut that out. Cut that out.
It's fine. So I have a thing here in my notes that I wrote down, which is talking about stuff we didn't like. Which I mean, we've kind of been talking about that throughout the whole video. But there is one thing I did want to bring up, which even after multiple viewings, I still didn't care for, which was the Joker.
AJ's opinion.
That too. Yeah, I did not care for the Joker.
It would have
at
fit
all.
better if the deleted scene was still actually in the film.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't. I think because it didn't make a difference to me because it was literally an ending scene. It wouldn't make any difference because it was just a cameo thing anyway.
It
For
just
me anyway,
it
it
set
didn't
up
make any
the
difference.
it just set up the future Arkham Asylum project that they're working on.
Yeah.
So
Because I mean, Matt
I
Reeves
think
has
it
already said
w-
that he doesn't
here's
have
how
any
that scene
plans
would have
to
worked
use it in
out
a
better.
movie.
That scene would have worked out better as an after credit scene.
I don't know. I mean, maybe.
I think if they included that as an after credit scene or a mid credit scene, that would have fixed the pacing way better for that scene.
Yeah.
Because then it would have. I mean, it's very stereotypical comic book film, which I guess is not what they were
Yeah.
going for, but it still would have just fit better like that.
this is the only scene in the movie where I saw it and I felt like it was a studio decision rather than just, a story, decision where it's like they got to put him in there.
It felt
Forced.
not non-essential. Because
Yeah,
I feel like every other scene in the movie is essential.
Now it's not essential,
What?
but it doesn't make it bad.
All right, so let's get into final thoughts, because I feel like we've kind of went through everything. So
Talked enough.
yeah, but final thoughts. Alter, we'll start with you. Just overall about the movie.
Woo! It's the best movie I've ever seen in my life. Pure cinema. Robert Pattinson is my dad. Zoe Kravitz is my wife. Paul Dano is my husband. Jeffrey Wright is my black husband. It's just
A lot
it's
of
just a perfect
diversity
film.
here.
Yeah, I mean, hear me out, right? No film is perfect, but if this is probably the most perfect I've ever seen a film, and it may just be my bias towards Batman as a character because this is like the first film to actually really nail Batman as a character. But I don't care. It's still, this goes down as probably my favorite film of all time as of 2022. I definitely am looking forward to future projects, and yeah, just Matt Reeves is, God created the earth so Matt Reeves could create the Batman.
You
What about
done?
you?
You done, sweetheart? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
What about you?
You done
Swifty?
riding Matt Reeves? I'm. Oh God, where do I even begin? It's for Batman fans and Matt Reeves, who is, I mean, obviously also a Batman fan, and for the whole cast and crew. This movie is an achievement for Batman as a character. We've only had five really great Batman movies before this. And that sounds like a lot, but coming from a world where superhero movies are like the norm, that's not a lot. So this one will forever take its place among those movies, and now we have 6 great Batman films.
Mhm.
And this, I agree with Alto. This is the first one and the only one so far to actually nail Batman as a character. As a Batman fan, I'm just more than happy that we have this group of people working on these movies, and I just can't wait till the second movie, because all the issues I have about the first movie, if Matt Reeves is the kind of director I know he is, they'll all be fixed in the second movie. I think he's the kind of guy who learns from his mistakes, and his mistakes were not huge, but no, yeah, I think the second movie is going to be even better than this one. Obviously, my dream would be to have Mr. Freeze as the villain, but it's not looking like that's going to be the case. So, as a final thought, too, one of the main things that really upset me about this whole universe as a whole thus far is that it's going the realistic route over the comic book route, which I wish there was a happy medium. And surprisingly, this movie, The Batman, felt very comic booky, even though they said that's not what they were going for. So I'm not really worried about Batman not being comic booky, but the things surrounding him rather, like supervillains, for instance. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get our dream villains in the second or third installment, but one can hope that that will happen. So I think we should protest to release the Reeves cut of the Batman 2 starting tonight. I'm a man of my word. And that's all I have to say.
Hey everybody, Future Marvel here, letting you know that stopping the video just because unfortunately AJ had to leave the video just before we were ending it, so I wasn't able to get his final thoughts in the moment, but I did just get them today, and yeah, so we're gonna listen to his thoughts, and then we're gonna do my thoughts. We're gonna end the video, and I'll be good. So yeah, good. Enjoy.
How do I sum up my final thoughts on the Batman? Like, what I think of this film overall? That's a really difficult question to ask. Batman is... I'll put it this way. The Batman is the movie I've been waiting for my entire life. And it has really re-enlivened my passion and love for art and making it. So, thank you, Matt Reeves, for reminding me why I'm doing what I'm doing, and for making an amazing Batman film while you're at it. So, that's what I think of the Batman. Truly amazing. Just an absolute cinematic wonder.
My thoughts. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else to be really said. Like, this is an amazing achievement of a movie. Phenomenal cast, great action, great effects, great score, great everything. I have my issues with it, but when I really think about it, they're minuscule. Like, it's the smallest little detail thing that doesn't really affect the movie, but yeah, just great all around, and I'm so excited to see where this world goes. And yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes from the ending and what characters we'll get to see, and just all that. So I'm hyped and can't wait. But anyway,
Batman.
but anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this episode of the Speaking Nerd podcast. I'm so glad that we can finally have this video out and
Yes.
over with. It's been way too long, and
We'll see you guys in a year.
This was this was basically a labor of love trying to get this whole thing coordinated and to get us all together. I mean, we thought that we weren't even going to be together for this episode, and we thought that maybe we'd have to record parts separately and all that. But I'm glad that circumstances
one
have
of us couldn't
changed.
even be here the whole time.
Yeah, it's true. But
We'll get on him for it later.
I'll kick him out of the podcast later. It's fine.
Guys, I have to go.
Guys, I have to go. No, you don't. You don't have to do anything. You can stay right here, sir.
we didn't
Okay,
even have-
anyways, we
we
got
didn't
like
even have
8
that much longer in the video.
Sexual desired much?
As far as what's coming next for the podcast, hopefully, since our schedules are a lot more open now, hopefully we can kind of get together more and do more episodes. We're so close to our 75th episode, which
Yes.
I don't know how we're going to tackle that, because I have an idea for it, but I don't know if we're going to be able to execute it the way that I want
Live.
to. Well, I mean, I could tell you after we're done recording, but yeah. But that's a whole can of worms for another day. But
I think that once the summer comes around, we'll all be even more free to kind of just get together whenever.
mhm.
And just, hey, you guys want to bang out a Speaking Nerd video? So I hope that, you guys know that we are really trying to get these episodes out. It's just, schedules are a tough thing. Really, they are. Especially for these
Blame
guys, they're in
AJ.
school. And it's like, it really, comes down to when they're available mostly. But
It
summertime
was
is
mainly
a
baseball.
good place
was my
to,
thing.
yeah. And well, now the
I'm
man
over with
himself got
baseball. The
mono.
season's over, so
But yeah, so yeah, I'm just
I
hoping.
mean, yeah, I got mono.
So
and-
look out for more videos during the summer, because that'll be really fun.
Yeah, I can't wait to get the wheels back running with with all of us together, just cranking out videos, having a great time.
Yeah.
And I know that for the future there's a lot to look forward to, and I'm excited to see where the podcast goes. So
Yes.
but until then, we've got other videos on each of our channels. I got my thing
yes.
going on. Swifty over here has got Intensive Treatment, which is the Arkham themed podcast, which I co-host with him. So that's fun.
That you basically run.
Yeah. And Alter's doing his thing over on his channel, which, by the way, me and him just
the
did a
greatest
collab.
YouTuber ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The most successful out of all of us for sure. But
That's damn sure.
yeah.
On
But,
God, no cap.
I did want to mention that I did a collab with him some time ago. It's fairly recent, I
It's
would
about
say.
a month ago.
But
It's my most recent video.
yeah, it's true. But yeah, be sure to check that out. Be sure to check out all of our content going on. I'm sure you won't be disappointed.
My music is the most important thing.
Oh, of course it is.
Yep.
And AJ, he can't be here, so we'll just go watch his stuff.
Go.
even though-
He's doing a Batman fan film. Go support that.
Yeah. But, until next time, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that wonderful stuff. Check us out, of course, on all our various channels and platforms. Twitters and all that shit.
OnlyFans.
Yeah, OnlyFans. Yeah.
Check out my Craigslist. You can download
My
my content on
MySpace.
Google
My
Drive.
Amazon wish list, all that,
Yeah.
all that type stuff. But
My
yeah.
Adam and Eve wish list.
Yeah. But we'll see you all next time for whatever we do. Thank you all for being patient with us, and of course, have a fantastic night. Take care of yourselves. So see ya.
See you guys.